So catless downpipes are a great upgrade for any turbo BMW. We're going to get to the reasons why you want to consider that and why I considered it one of the best modifications for my N54 powered 335i. So make sure you stick around now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with exoticcarplayplace. So exhaust system upgrades are not uncommon for anybody who likes to tune up their BMW or any performance car for that matter. One of the most popular upgrades. And to expand on that, catless downpipes happens to be one of those parts that people like to upgrade. The question is always, is it right for me? I mean, there's always a reputation of these downpipes being exceptionally loud and obnoxious and droney. And is it something that you can personally live with? Well, I'm going to share with you some of the things you can expect as benefits from installing a set of catless downpipes. Now, first of all, when you compare a set of catless downpipes to its equivalent original equipment catalytic converter setup, and you put them side by side, it quickly becomes pretty obvious where some of the restrictions are in the system. Of course, not only do the CAT systems provide such a heavy filter of themselves because they're designed there to essentially scrub emissions and remove carbon from the system, but they also swedge down to a point where they're often narrowed. And so you have a tightened up restriction in terms of flow through the pipe diameter as it is. And of course, the filtration abilities that the catalytic converter provide dramatically reduce exhaust flow and of course, slow down exhaust velocities, which in turn increases turbo lag as well as reduces horsepower output. So really, do the benefits outweigh the negatives? Well, today we're going to talk about why I think this is one of the best upgrades that I've ever done to my car. Why I considered it is because they provide power gains. Now, there's going to be people that argue that it's marginal or there's no power gains. I've even heard people argue and say that there's a power loss. They said that they've experienced power loss. Well, trust me when I say I've installed mine here. I actually installed them last week. And as soon as I did that and I pulled out, I throttled it. And that was the first time I experienced enough power where I was able to break traction in relatively warm weather. Up to that point, I'd never really been able to do that, but I gunned it and the car broke traction. As well, it really just seemed to liven up the whole driving experience. And on top of that, in terms of power gains, I can verify that it definitely feels more powerful. But it's not just how it looks right now. It's ultimately what is the long-term objective of your car and what is the long-term objective of your build. Now, as soon as you start adding boost, that's where you're going to see even more significant gains out of a catless system. Because now you're pushing more pressure into the engine, that pressure and that flow goes through, and you're going to expect a faster volume of evacuated air out of the exhaust. And as a result, the more back pressure you have there, the less power you're going to gain. So by doing this upgrade now, I'm getting the car ready for a flash tune. They work really, really well and work hand in hand. Wow. Now another thing, as I mentioned earlier, there's owners that have done this and they said they feel that they lost power. Well, I can honestly tell you, after doing this performance upgrade, in my opinion, as soon as I took it out for the drive, I immediately felt a seat of the pants improvement. Was it vastly, it was day and night? No. However, it was pretty obvious to me that there was immediate, just a little bit more immediate punch there, a little bit more snap out of the hole. It definitely felt like a massive reduction in turbo lag, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Particularly with the dual twin turbos that are small by nature, you would hope that there's no turbo lag. And BMW tried to create a car that had minimal or no turbo lag, but that's typically a consequence of anything that you have to develop speed, build the momentum and inertia of the turbocharged vanes. Well, the problem is, as you're pushing that air through the exhaust system, if it's restricted by catalytic converters or narrow piping or muffler and all that other restrictions, that reduces the flow velocity. That reduced velocity means that the turbo speed will take a little bit longer to get up to its maximum terminal velocity, and therefore turbo lag might be slightly increased and ultimate output might be slightly reduced as a result of having all that extra restriction in the exhaust. So another reason you want downpipes, and one obvious benefit that I've already experienced, is their massive reduction in turbo lag. You literally hit it and there's almost no obvious turbo lag left in this car. And the next reason why you'd probably want to consider the Catalyst downpipes as one of your best upgrades. But before we get to that, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you're able to catch the rest of the series and a lot more on this whole performance build of the 335. But anyway, moving right along, the last reason why you'd probably want to consider this upgrade to Catalyst downpipes and complement it as well, possibly with a muffler delete like I've got as well, is the pure sounds. So again, some more samples of the exhaust sound. Let's get it right from the tip, everybody. Listen up. Now, I know a lot of people, it's a very polarizing, controversial topic. Some people don't like drone, and some people don't like excessive noise, and some people are scared they're going to annoy the neighbors, and it becomes a real concern, a real world concern, and I totally understand. But I can honestly tell you, from my perspective, so the sounds that you get on a cold start are very loud, very, very loud, for about 15 seconds. And honestly, I equate it very much to, I had an M4 competition in my possession there last year, and I drove that car daily I actually had it for a period of time. The dealer let me use it for a while, and that car was very, very loud on cold starts. I would almost equate the volume to be very comparable in terms of decibels between the M4 competition exhaust and my 335 with the wide open exhaust. So very, very close in ultimate noise and volume. Now, a meter or a gauge would actually have to tell me the actual story. More or less standing behind the car, it was very comparable. Now, after that 15 seconds winds down, the car settles out to a nice rumble. It doesn't sound obnoxious after that. If anything, it just purrs at a nice low little chug, and it doesn't create any severe obnoxious sounds. Now, the trade-off and where you really get the benefits is where you're whining the car out. So you judge for yourself. Let's take a listen. How's that for sound effects? So that's one great benefit you get, and that's one of the reasons you'd probably want to put downpipes on your 335i. Now, there's a slight drone between 2,200 and about 2,400 RPM, where it kind of bellows out a little bit more. It's a little more of a drone in that range. But beyond that, outside of that, the entire rev range sounds way more aggressive. And as a matter of fact, almost sounds race car-like. As you wind the car out and you get through that louder zone, it really settles out to a really, really strong and aggressive throaty exhaust note, which honestly is very difficult to replicate with turbocharged engines typically, but this has a very good way of doing it. And you still get the howl and you still get a bit of that turbo noise. And when you put all that together, the car sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds great at idle. Let's take a listen, everybody, and see. Then you judge for yourself. And it sounds even better at full throttle. Or even if you're driving around and you're on-off throttle, the sounds it gives are just heavenly. So other than the really loud cold start for about 15 seconds, the rest of the car is very livable, and there's slight drones at different points, but honestly, for the most part, I love the sound. It has transformed it from an absolute quiet cabin cruiser to something that sounds like it's ready for the racetrack. One of the best improvements that honestly I've done to date. Thanks again, guys, for sticking around. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I really can't wait to see you on the next video. Catch you soon. Bye-bye.